Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is one wild ride. Our story drops us into the sun-drenched chaos of Mexico, where two hitmen, Danny and his grizzled mentor Hunter, think seasoned pro and eager apprentice, are up to their usual deadly shenanigans. They're knee-deep in a mission with their crew, Davis and Mayer, when boom. Mayer takes out the target's car with a spectacular explosion. Danny and the team mop up the bad guys with ruthless efficiency, but wait, a shocking twist. A little kid was in the car. The poor tyke witnessed the whole thing. This throws Danny completely off his game. Suddenly, the cops show up, chaos reigns, and bam! Danny takes a bullet. But don't worry, Hunter swoops in like a feathered superhero. Dramatic music swells here, whisking Danny and Davis away in their getaway car. On the escape, Danny confesses he's done with this hitman life. He's calling it quits. The end, perhaps, or perhaps just the beginning of something completely different. A year later, Danny's traded in his action-packed life for a peaceful Aussie forest existence. But bam, a photo from his agent throws him right back into the fray. His mentor, Hunter, is in a world of trouble, snatched by the Arab oil mafia. Talk about a bad hair day. Danny's furious, frantic, he's on a jet plane to Oman faster than you can say, shake. His agent, John, plays coy at first, but during a thrilling car chase, naturally, spills the beans. Hunter blew a huge job for some seriously shady tribal bigwigs. To save his friend, Danny has to finish the job, for a cool $6 million. But get this, fail, and Hunter's toast. The stakes? Higher than a camel's hump. And finally, Danny arrives at the Mafia HQ, ready to face the music, and the youngest son of the Sheikh himself, who just happens to hire Danny and Hunter. 6 months. That's all Danny's got to avenge the Sheikh's sons, slain by British Special Forces, or his own pal, Hunter, gets it. A file, a ticking clock, and a whole lot of payback. Hunter's a wreck, begging Danny to walk away from this bloody mess, but loyalty's a powerful drug, isn't it? A quick con, a knockout blow, a daring escape attempt, thwarted. Surrounded. But then, bam, Danny uncovers a betrayal so shocking, it'll make your jaw drop. John used Hunter as bait? Now Danny's trapped, furious, and facing a mission that spiraled wildly out of control. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is one heck of a ride. Danny, our hero, is on a mission, a last mission, mind you. He's trading in espionage for Aussie sunshine, Anna, and nappies, the ultimate career change. But first, France. A quick boxing session with Davis warms him up before he lays out the plan to rescue Hunter. No reward for Danny, he insists, all the loot's theirs. Their target, Harris, ex-soldier, currently residing in Oman. Oman, I say. Danny sneaks in, sees his chance, and what's this? A weapon fashioned from toilet floor tiles? Now that's resourcefulness. Harris's death totally looked like an accident. Meanwhile, Davis, bless his naive heart, hits a bar overflowing with retired British soldiers, the kind who've seen things, real things. He's sniffing around, hoping to dig up dirt on some Oman veterans. But someone gets suspicious, a real eagle eye, and spills the beans to Spike, a guy fiercely loyal to his old, very shady unit. Spike rallies his buddies for a little payback, but these old boys are surprisingly risk-averse. So Spike, being Spike, grabs Martin and they're off to Oman. Martin starts tailing Davis and the gang, even catching Danny and Mayer plotting their ridiculously elaborate toilet tile murder plan. But Danny, a sharp cookie, spots Martin's camera flash. Busted. The chase is on. Martin makes a run for it, disappearing down a mysterious underground tunnel. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is a wild ride. Martin, bless his cotton socks, disturbed a beehive. Angry bees everywhere. Danny and the gang had to ditch the chase, those stingers put a serious crimp in their style. Spying Martin, suddenly, things got way more dangerous. Next day, Davis lands the best job ever, disabling Harris's girlfriend's car. Genius. Meanwhile, Danny and the mayor are at Harris's place, ready to rumble. The mayor hog ties Harris faster than you can say, conspiracy, while Danny sets up the interrogation tools, talk about a spa day. But first, a confession. Harris spills the beans, he bumped off the Sheikh's son, Hussein. Even drops a hint about an accomplice and a mysterious book. Danny, not so much interested. Confession recorded. Time for payback. Just as Danny's about to finish the job, bam! A knock. It's Harris's girlfriend, needing taxi fare. Oh, the drama. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get wild. She's gone, Danny's back in the bathroom, only to find Harris dead. The impatient mayor took matters into his own hands while Danny was otherwise occupied. Then, bam, Danny's off to England, mission mode activated. Up in the clouds, he's dreaming of Anna, the woman who makes him want to ditch this death-defying life for a quiet cuppa. Meanwhile, Davis is meeting a snitch, trying to get the dirt on the SAS, their next target, but oops, the informant gets suspicious. Suddenly, it's a brutal brush off, literally. Davis uses a brush as a weapon, but hey, it works. He finds crucial intel, game changer. Spike, the SAS guy, hears about the snitcher's demise and his hair stands on end. These guys are pros, he realizes, they've infiltrated the SAS. Time to scramble, Team SAS, Danny and his crew are lethal. Hold on to your hats, folks, cause Danny's juggling SAS agents like nobody's business. He's plotting with Davis and the mayor, their next target? Crack, a major player in Hussein's demise. Danny, ever the mastermind, concocts a brilliant and slightly dodgy plan. Doc's disguise? Check. Drug heist? In progress. But oh, Spike's waiting. A heart-stopping chase ensues, culminating in a knockdown, drag-out brawl in an abandoned building. Spike's a beast, seriously tough, but Danny's got grit. After a brutal fight, a sneaky move lands Spike on the floor, but Danny's got a bounce. He's off to meet Davis and the mayor, at their super-secret hideout, naturally. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is a wild ride. Our crack team, yes, that's their target's name, is about to pull off the most audacious heist this side of the Sahara. They're aiming for the super secure SAS headquarters, a place where even spiders need a security clearance. Sneaking in? Piece of cake, said no one ever. Danny, our master of disguise, dons a training uniform so convincing, even Crack himself wouldn't suspect a thing. Meanwhile, Davis creates a diversion worthy of a Hollywood blockbuster, while Mayor keeps a hawk-eye watch from afar. Our intrepid Danny slips into Crack's room, spiking his tea with a special ingredient, not sugar. Then, amidst the snowy SAS training grounds, Crack keels over, his heart giving up the ghost. Danny seizes the moment, extracts a confession, and bam! The Sheikh has his proof. Game over. Newsflash. Spike's in a bar, minding his own business, when bam! Some loudmouths disrespect the Crack. He's livid. Absolute fireworks erupt. Meanwhile, JN's back, spilling the beans on their next target, Simon, a retired soldier, and believe me, retired doesn't mean weak. Davis's got cold feet, but Hunter's memory fuels his courage. Before they roll, Danny calls his Anna, promising an Aussie return, and a very interesting job description once this wild ride is over. Anna's clueless, but he'll spill the beans later. Then, it's off to stake out Simon, who casually dispatches a couple of goons, only to be met by a furious Crack protecting Spike. Whoa, Danny's totally thrown when Spike acts super shady. Curiosity killing the cat? Not Danny. He's tailing Spike like a detective in a cheesy movie, leading them to a deserted building, spooky. Inside, Spike's got a sixth sense, he knows he's being watched. Danny spots two local kids, bribes them with some cash. A little bird told him it pays off, right? This intel sets Danny's brain whirring. He's got Simon in his sights, but Spike's become Simon's bodyguard. This is a puzzle that requires a cunning plan. Enter Operation Fake Simon. Davis is stepping into the role of a lifetime, pulling off an amazing impersonation. Meanwhile, John's not wasting time. He calls in his ace in the hole, Midwick, who's connected to a team of ex-military badasses. Midwick's charm offensive ensures Spike's goons stay out of the way. Smooth operator. GTON backs down, leaving Spike fuming. He's going solo, what a hothead. Meanwhile, Danny and the crew are creeping into a truck depot, dangerously close to the action. The mayor's got a brilliant, and slightly illegal, plan, remotely controlled truck, anyone? They're gonna total Simon's car, making it look like a fender bender. They even got a new guy, Jack, sounds like a blast. Next day, action time. The mayor's driving, everyone else is watching from afar. Bam! Perfect crash. Mission accomplished. But wait, Spike's goons show up. Mayhem ensues. A wild chase breaks out. Jack's taking shots, trying to rescue the mayor. This is getting intense. Hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get wild. Our hero, Danny, suffers a devastating double blow. A planned takedown goes sideways. Boom, the mayor's caught in the crossfire. Devastated but driven, Danny scrambles, finding a radio. Jack, call John, we've got a massive cleanup. A bittersweet goodbye with Davis follows. Mission accomplished, but at what cost? Meanwhile, Spike's crew takes a hit, fueling his furious quest for revenge. Davis, celebrating a little too hard, makes some seriously questionable choices, like hiring a woman who's secretly a mole. Betrayal. Suddenly, Spike's got Davis' location, and the chase is on. Captured. And then, the chilling crackle of a radio nearby. Danny's heard everything. Oh. Whoa. Davis tries a daring carjack escape, but bam. Spike's got him. Tragically, Davis bites the dust. Phone number on the jacket? Case closed. Or is it? Spike ducks into a building, only to find Danny waiting, gun in hand. But hold on, this isn't a shootout. Danny's had enough bloodshed, folks. He gives Spike a serious warning, shape up or ship out. Then, Danny meets the Sheikh, delivers Simon's confession, mic drop. He takes Hunter, his loyal friend, and pleads with him, it's retirement time, buddy. Meanwhile, Spike's digging into John, and guess what? John's been secretly working with Danny and the assassin squad all along. The plot thickens, people. Whoa, things get way more twisted than Danny imagined. He's digging up dirt on this group, and bam, he's back in Australia, reunited with Anna. Pure joy, until John, using Anna's phone, sneaky, drops a bombshell, wrong guy. They offed the wrong person. Harris was innocent. Suddenly, Anna's a target. Danny's heart's pounding. He's gotta act fast. Paris. That's the ticket. Safety in numbers, or at least, safety in Hunter's capable hands. He's leaving Anna with Hunter, begging him to keep her safe while he jets off to London to unravel this mess. This is a race against time, folks. Danny's all in, heading straight to the heart of the action. No time for coffee, no time for second guesses. It's go, go, go. Whoa. He busts in, demanding answers, totally convinced Bede pulled a fast one. Then, Danny and John meet, trying to crack the mystery of this real German. But, oh, Spike's planted a bug. He's listening in. Things get hairy, fast. Danny's on a mission to find the truth, protect Anna, the pressure is on. So, Danny pulls a slick move, a full-on ninja. Black suit, helmet, stealth mode activated. But Spike's got eyes everywhere. Boom. Explosion. Spike grabs the helmeted figure, thinking it's Danny, but it's Jack. A decoy. Danny's a step ahead. Bam. He's in German's office and he's about to knock Jerry's socks off. Our man Danny, stone cold killer, almost pulls off the perfect hit. But wait, a pang of conscience, a fleeting memory of some kid, almost derails him. He hesitates, for a nanosecond. Then, bam, the deed is done. Snap. A photo for the scrapbook. Rooftop escape. But our hero's celebration's short-lived. Spike and his goons are on his tail. Busted. The torture begins. But twist. Jerry Min's alive. Turns out, Danny used a rubber bullet. Spike's mind is officially blown. The grilling intensifies. Who's behind the SAS assassinations? Danny spills the beans. The whole shebang. Hold on to your hats, folks, because the twists and turns are wilder than a roller coaster fueled by espresso. Spike, our dapper villain, gets a mouthful of shocking truth, and instead of freeing Danny, he's all, nope, see ya later. Just when all hopes vanished, bam, Midwick, a Brit with a serious sidearm, bursts in. He's not here for a tea party, he's here to cuff Spike and spill the real tea. Turns out, Spike's been played like a fiddle by B, the Sheikh's sneaky youngest son, who sacrificed his own brothers for a sweet petroleum deal with the Brits. Talk about a family reunion gone wrong. This betrayal, the catalyst for the entire Sheikh's revenge extravaganza. But wait, there's more. Danny, furious and betrayed, unleashes inner Hulk, breaking free and taking down the baddies. Unbelievable. Midwick and Spike, seizing their escape opportunity, bam. Out the window and gone. Spike, hot on Midwick's heels, but Danny, poof, vanished in a borrowed car. The chase was on, a hilarious game of cat and mouse with Spike's goons trailing hopelessly behind. Meanwhile, John, in a move so unbelievably stupid it's brilliant, tries to off Hunter. Using Anna as leverage against Danny, he thought he was smart. But Hunter, unstoppable, he single-handedly thrashed the goons, and then, pow! A little souvenir shot in John's leg for trying to grab Anna. Despite John's treachery, Hunter showed mercy. A warning shot, not a death sentence. Stay away, he growled. The next day, Hunter, Danny, and Aman met, Danny with the proof Jerry Min was toast. Hunter kept a hawk eye on Danny, ensuring his safety, then, gasp. Something totally unexpected. Hold on to your hats, folks, because this is a wild ride. Spike, that sneaky weasel, waltzes into the Shake's crib, shakes down for the count, sick as a dog. Spike flashes a fake photo of Jerry Min, a total sham, and bam. Next thing you know, Spike's roughed up the Shake. Bee's surprise, sure, but he's practically drooling over that $6 million payday. He hands it over to Spike, money meant for Danny and Hunter. Hunter, witnessing this treachery from afar, is not happy. He tells Danny, let's go get our money back. But wait, the Shake's army is suddenly swarming them. Hunter, cool as a cucumber, blasts a path through the pursuing vehicles. They finally corner Spike, a confession is squeezed out of him, and Hunter, ever the pragmatist, takes his cut and sends Spike back to England with a new appreciation for truth-telling. Danny and Hunter, they're moving on to bigger and better heists.